Welcome to another episode of the Seed Farmer Podcast, the podcast where I want you to harvest seeds from some of the vegetables and flowers growing in your farm or garden, and then to plant that seed out to grow delicious vegetables and beautiful flowers. If you enjoy the Seed Farmer Podcast and find it to be a good resource that helps you improve your seed work and farming, please support the show at spreadsheet.farm/supportpodcast. I'm your host, Dan Brisebois, seed grower at Tourne-Sol Cooperative Farm and author of The Seed Farmer, a complete guide to growing, using, and selling your own seeds. Today, I'm sharing another episode from another seedy podcast with you. This one is from the Seeds and Their People podcast, hosted by Owen Taylor of True Love Seeds and Chris Bolden Newsom of Sankofa Community Farm at Bartram's Garden. I love this show, and I try to listen to new episodes as soon as they drop. The moment I hear the finger picking and seed shaking of their opening theme, I just feel my mind relax and open up, and then I just love listening to Chris and Owen banter about the episode and reflect on what they learned listening to it, I guess recording it also. And then the episode too is good also. Today I'm featuring episode 37 of this podcast. It's called Cempaxochitl, Papalo, and More Tastes of Mexico with Maria Hernandez of Cruz Family Little Farm. One crop I was really excited to hear mentioned was jicama. I've never grown any, and I would really love to. And I just assumed it wouldn't do so well in, I guess, in the northeast of the continent. So I want to get some seeds and try growing some out next year. Now, if you enjoy this episode, Seeds and Their People has 40 more episodes for you to catch up on. You can also go back to episode 10 of the Seed Farmer Podcast and listen to my conversation with Chris and Owen. So, I hope you enjoy the show.
I was just whacking it normal.
Welcome to Seeds and Their People. I'm Chris Bolden Newsom, farmer and co-director of Sankofa Community Farm at Bartram's Garden in sunny southwest Philadelphia.
And I'm Owen Taylor, seed keeper and farmer at True Love Seeds. We're a seed company offering ancestral seeds grown by farmers who preserve their beloved tastes of home for their diasporas and beyond through keeping seeds and their stories in community. This podcast is supported by True Love Seeds and by our listeners.
Thank you so much to our Patreon members who support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. You too could sign up at patreon.com/trueloveseeds.
This episode features an interview with our friend Maria Hernandez of Cruz Family Little Farm, which is about an hour northwest of Philadelphia, where we are now. We've known Maria and her family for several years, and we see her several times a year, especially at the Winter PASA conference with her husband and kids, the PASA Sustainable Agriculture Conference here in Pennsylvania. And she is a grower for our seed catalog. What are some of your thoughts about the stories in this episode?
Well, this was a beautiful story, and the interview taught me a lot of things about Maria that I didn't know. I know that she has a really interesting and exciting and sometimes funny life story. We spent many hours, as you said, especially at the PASA conference, talking about our lives and growing up and what led us to where we are now and how we met our partners and that sort of thing. And so it was this interview was very exciting to even hear even deeper into Maria's story. I was really intrigued, of course, my anthropological mind with the ways in which sort of our ancestral culture came through in her story. The olla, or the pot of water that they put on the floor, it keeps the water cool in the summertime. that stood out to me immediately. That's a very old, maybe ancient Native American practice. They even throughout, North America here, United States, Native American nations continue, to get cool water that way in the heat of the summer. So that was one of the first things that sort of, perked my ears up. Her talking about, of course, the flor de calabaza, the pumpkin flower. Again, these are traditional. The dishes made with pepitas. These are traditional Aztec and Mayan food traditions that she grew up with, and that she continues, and that she also has raised her children with. That is remarkably powerful in these days of disconnection and fake connections and fake news and all of that. She moved from rural Mexico to one of the biggest cities in the world, and yet that didn't change her. That didn't change her, at least in the respect of how she continues to keep her culture alive. I was impressed by, of course, as a Mexican Catholic, of course, too, that her faith also is a way that her and her family can continue to keep alive this culture. And I related, as a Catholic, of course, to some of her traditions around the Day of the Dead, All Souls Day that we would say in English, during this month of November, which in our faith we dedicate to ancestors, helping them to light their way. Her talking about the Cempaxochitl, the marigold, as a sacred flower, was something that's used, in the tradition of honoring the ancestors and giving them light. I just found it very beautiful. I think moving on to their modern life and some of the struggles, her having to close the snack shop really spoke volumes to me, of the time that we're in. So there's this contrast between her holding on to this deep and ancient and nourishing culture that she lives in and that she and her family are still rooted in, and then the realities of this current political climate that we're living in. It's a lot to hold, closing the snack bar because people are afraid to come out and gather in spots with other Latino immigrants. I mean, that just sounds crazy. It reminds me of the stories I grew up hearing about in slavery. In this country, you couldn't have more than 4 or 5 black people together at one time in one place without permission. There was a flash of an ancestral pain hearing her talk about what it means, for her people to be surveilled, for her people to be afraid. People gathered around that snack shop to eat their traditional snacks and to meet with each other. It was another way of keeping culture alive, keeping culture going with a little bit of the sweetness from home. And so the fact that that is closed down means that's one less avenue for people here to keep in contact with their ancestral culture in that way, literally taking the sweetness of home away from folks. That was very powerful to me. It was a powerful statement. I think the other thing that hurt to hear was her losing her abuela. I remember that feeling as well too, of not being able to see your grandma before she dies. I remember a very similar situation. We got the news that my grandma was sick while we were traveling, and by stopping at a payphone, in New Mexico to call home. And so, her talking about sort of this hole that's left in her spirit, you can really hear it, that's still left in her spirit because of the lack of closure with her grandmother, and then sort of being pulled out of Mexico. I know that feel. So much of this I related to, honestly. When we left Mississippi, for instance, in my own story, I felt that I was being pulled out of Mississippi. I did not want to leave Mississippi. I certainly did not want to go to Oklahoma, which sounded like okra to me. And I did not like okra as a child. And that's all I knew. I did not want to go to this new place. Why do we have to do this? Where are we going? And it seems like she had a similar situation, But then she was going to New York City. I cannot imagine why. But, but just that, getting back to just that, the losing of her grandmother, the cutting off of that source of knowledge and wisdom. And what she said about it towards the end, it was, for me, most powerful was when she said, when you asked her, what would you ask your grandmother if she was still here? And what would you say to her? And I think that she said something along the lines of, I want to know more, that I want to know more, that there was more wisdom and knowledge and traditions. There were so many questions that she still has, for her grandmother that she'll have to save for heaven. And that was really powerful for me. And then the last thing and I did mention a little bit about the Cempaxochitl, but I was really grateful to hear her talking about the care for the dead. That's so important. Just the whole idea of that our care for our loved ones does not end at the grave, and that through faith that we still are able to have a connection with them, though they don't need the things that we offer, of course, that we believe that they accept them and receive them as a prayer and, as love, sort of for their liberation. And how the Cempaxochitl, which, was also always a sacred flower in the Aztec tradition, sort of is involved with that welcoming of the dead back home. I think it was powerful. It shows how cultures blend, how cultures adapt, and how we continue to grow. The blending of those two cultures, that sort of the Catholic All Souls and the Mayan and Aztec traditions around the dead. Very powerful, very affirming for me, and reminded me of, our own African Catholic spirituality that we practice here at home.
During the interview, a monarch came by, and to me the symbolism was very strong. Many people think about monarchs with our current kind of migration stories, especially with what's going on with people coming up from further south in Mexico and beyond, and how to something like a butterfly or a seed, the borders are imaginary. And so to be able to see during our interview, I think this was towards the end of, maybe it was in the beginning of October, I don't remember, a monarch kind of on its way back to Mexico. Felt very powerful to me. Historically, the movement of peoples in the Americas was really different than it is now. And it makes me think of these generations of monarchs that overwinter down in Mexico and come up north here and into Canada and go back again within a few generations, and trying to tap into that symbolism here around the knowledge and the seeds that come up from Mexico. And my hope is that they can go back and forth, that it becomes easier for people to visit their abuelas, to visit their homelands, to visit their ancestral places and ancestral knowledge, and that it's not such a constricted, violent thing. And, the seeds move the same way, and both through space and time. And so kind of this is my hope and prayer for the free movement of peoples in this continent, Turtle Island and Abya Yala, where historically people were able to move knowledge, seeds, people, and so on, in a different way. Okay, as we sit here next to our ancestral altar with marigolds, transporting you to the farm with Maria Hernandez about a month ago, sitting at a table next to her truck holding a box of chickens.
My name is Maria Hernandez from Cruz Family Little Farm, and right now you're in Gilbertsville, where we have a 1 acre land.
And we're here today, first of all, because you're giving us some chickens for our house, so thank you for that.
No problem. They're beautiful chickens, and we just get them this year, and they're part of our flock, but you're welcome to get how many chickens you want.
Right, because you have 200.
200 and plus. We have chicken math. We don't know how much we have.
Well, I hear them flapping around in there. I'm excited to introduce them to our ladies back home.
Yeah, we still have Paco. Paco's still alive, and he's still in our house.
Nice. We can't have roosters in Philadelphia, so we passed him along. I'm so happy to hear Paco's doing well. Well, I'm excited because I've wanted to interview you for years now, and this is my first time seeing your new farm space, and I'm excited to walk out there and look at particular crops. But if you could start with just describing life back in Mexico, and then we'll kind of go along your journey till you get here.
I grew up in Morelos, Mexico. I was 9 years when my parents decided to move to New York. I remember when I was little, it was like living with my grandma. It was like a paradise with a lot of fruit trees and a hammock and a nice river passing. So I used to love my life in Mexico. And then when we moved to New York, it was just buildings and garbage cans, and it was very depressing. So when I got married with my husband Adolfo, we decided to move to PA so we can have our dream back of having a little land and some plants and our kids in there. So that's how everything starts.
If you can go back in time, can you think of the most beautiful moments with your grandmother in the kitchen that you remember most fondly and most vividly, and describe one or two of them?
I remember every time I come from school, I go swimming in the river, come out from the river, and my grandma always making fresh homemade tortillas and a soup that is like a pasta, like a ABC soup with tomato, and then she will fry some dry peppers, and she will tell me stories and talk about when she was little. That's the best impact that I have from my grandma.
Nice. Can you describe the making of the masa and the tortillas?
We didn't have a meal in the house, so she will prep the nixtamal in the night, and then in the morning she will walk like probably 2 miles, and there have a molino, and then they make the masa. You pay some money to make the masa, and then come back early in the morning and have the masa ready in there for breakfast, lunch, and then in lunch you'll make your tortillas for dinner.
For people who are not familiar, can you describe nixtamal, molina, masa?
The nixtamal is corn. You put it to boil with some cal. I don't know what is cal.
Like calcium, like a lime.
With lime, and then you put it to boil, and then you wash that, and then have it ready for next day to take it to the mill. And then in the mill they'll grind it and make it to a kind of dough, and that dough you take it home, and then you make the fresh tortillas with that.
So you had a press.
Like a press, and in that time they used to not use press, they used to use their hands, so they make the tortilla with their own hands. And it's like clapping, like and that's how they used to make their tortillas.
Okay, so did you watch your grandmother do that, or were you also clapping?
I watched her do it. I would never able to clap and do the tortillas by hand. I used to grab 2 plates and press them and do the tortilla like that.
Did you all have a garden? Did she have a garden at the house?
She didn't get a garden, but she has a lot of fruit trees, almost like an orchard. And you can find from lemon tree, guava tree, orange tree, grapefruit tree, mango, aguacate or avocado, papaya, and other like guajes. It's like a bean with a lot of seeds on it that you can make salsa with it, or some kind of cooking with pork and salsa in it. So we have all different trees in there, and I remember that we have so much grapefruits that at the beginning when they start ripening, you're like just waiting for them, but then at the end you don't want to eat them anymore, and we use it as a soccer ball.
Nice. What other memories do you have of your grandmother in the kitchen that are very particular to your childhood that you don't see anymore now?
She used to put the water in a little clay pot and put it in the floor. And when we used to drink water, the water was nice and cold, nice and fresh. You didn't need a refrigerator. And the water was nice and it gave a different flavor. I remember that at that time we didn't have a refrigerator, and we always have fresh products from everywhere. We live where everybody was growing everything, and we just exchange things. And if the neighbor has something, she will give us. And then if we have a lot of avocados, we give them avocados. So we always exchanging, and that's something that I remember when I was little.
Out of all the fruit trees in the orchard, which one was your favorite and why?
I used to like the mangoes because the mangoes where my hammock was, and I used to cut the mangoes, always bring my salt and tajin. In that time, it was not tajin, it was another blend, but I used to bring my powder and my salt and sit down in the hammock and eat green mangoes, and I used to love that.
So it wasn't tajin, but it was some sort of chili-based powder?
Yes.
And then, of all the things you would trade with the neighbors, like, do you remember what your favorite thing to receive from a neighbor was in terms of food that you didn't grow at your house?
I remember that we have a neighbor that they grow strawberries, and in that time strawberries were like some kind of luxury fruit. So that neighbor has few plants of strawberries, and she gave us like 2 strawberries, and I remember cut it in little pieces and put it in my mouth little by little to enjoy every single bite of the strawberry.
For people who don't know where your hometown is, can you describe that area and what makes that part of Mexico special?
I'm from Morelos, and Morelos is Cuautla, and in Cuautla is Casasano. Casasano, it's they make sugar, so they bring a lot of people there because they always need help, and they always produce jobs in there, and then they grow a lot of products in there. They grow the tomatoes, the mushrooms, peppers. So it's in the temperature, they call it as the Eternity Spring City. The weather is always beautiful in there. It's never cold, it's never hot, and you find a lot of rivers, so water everywhere that you go. So that's what I think is make my town and my city the most beautiful.
Did people grow sugarcane at a small scale as well, or was it all like really large plantation style or like large farms of sugarcane?
I saw plants from probably a quarter of an acre to, I don't know, many acres. So I think they do in a small scales too for their own pleasure and to put it in the ponche. Ponche is a Mexican drink that we drink in the posadas in December. So it's very popular, and the main ingredient in our ponche it's caña or sugarcane.
What else goes into ponche?
Tejocotes is almost like a little apple fruit. Guava, and some people put tamarindo, other people put jamaica, and also they put fruit. You can put apples or you can put pears, orange. So it depends on where you grow and how you like it. I like mine with tejocotes, caña, guayaba, tamarindo, and manzanas. Now that there are bring in a lot of different products from Mexico and from California, we can make our own ponche here.
What do you remember about leaving and coming to the U.S. about that time?
You're gonna make me cry. I remember leaving my grandma, and she was very upset because we were leaving, and it was me, my brother, and my mom, and she was already here, and she went to pick us, and we stayed with my grandma for 2 years. But I lived my whole life with my grandma, and leaving my grandma was, I think, one of the big impacts in my life, because she was like my mother, and not be able to see or be with her when she died. So that was the more impact thing in my life.
So when you left, that was the last time you saw her?
Yes.
How did you stay in touch with her?
Yeah, I used to call her, talk to her, send her gifts, and even before she died, I talked to her, and she remembers me, and it was nice to be able to at least talk to her in the phone.
When you tell your children about her, like, what is most important for you to tell them?
I told them that she was my mother, and she take care of me, and she was very patient, because I was not a very I was very difficult kid, and she always had the patience with me, and always teaching me things. She showed me how to embroider. I remember that she always sat down and have the patience, and when I make a napkin, that she used to sell them, and if she sells the napkins that I make, she will buy me something good for eat, and she always tell the people that I embroider that, so people right away buy it, because I was like 7 or 8 years old.
What kind of treat would she get you when she'd sell your napkin?
Oh, I love chicken quesadillas. Tinga chicken quesadillas is a homemade tortilla with Oaxaca cheese and tinga de pollo. And it's the tinga de pollo is just shredded chicken with chipotle sauce and onions. And it was the best thing I remember as a little kid.
What was life like when you moved to Brooklyn? How would you describe that time?
It was very great. I remember that we went to school. I was not speaking the language. My teacher was speak 2 languages, so he would speak Spanish, and he helped me understand. And my brother has a lot of trouble because he couldn't adapt on the language and the culture. And then we didn't have no friends, and then it was hard to get adapted. And then the food was different, and my parents work all day long. They work from 7 in the morning to 7 at night time, and we were there all by ourselves all day long. So it was hard.
Were there other people in a similar situation around you? Like, did you have community?
At that time, no, because this is 30 years ago. So when we moved to New York, there were more Italians living in there, some Puerto Ricans, but there was not a lot of Spanish people living in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. So we were like very little, and then the church was in English only. So it was difficult because we didn't have other community to get support of it.
What are the ways that you sometimes did feel at home or felt like something familiar was there?
In New York? I think the only thing familiar was my parents be with us and I see all the sacrifice that they make for us, working all those hours, and dreaming going back to our country, and keep saying that if we save enough, maybe in 2 years we leave, and that's what it's keeping us going.
And did you ever get close to going back?
No, life changed for me, for my parents. They have another baby when I was 14 years old, so my sister was born at that time, and we wouldn't never make it to go back to Mexico.
How did your family keep the food traditions alive?
My mom loved to cook and teach us how the food that she makes was part of her life. And I still remember her when I cook, because she always teach me that when you cook or you do something with the person that you love, you remember them. So whenever time she cooks, she remember where she works or who teach her that recipe or how she learned that recipe. So she told me that with the smells and making that food bring you back where you learn it.
Do you remember any of her stories while cooking? Like what kind of memories it brought back for her?
She used to work in a restaurant, and every time she makes a food, because the way that my grandma used to cook, we call it the pork way, just beans and salsa and tortillas. But the way that my mom learned to cook, because she works in a restaurant, she cooked like ceviche, fried fish, some different guisados. So she learned different ways. So every time she cooked, she was like, I learned this in this place, and I was only 17 years old, and they teach me how to do it. And she will tell me her stories every time that she will cook something.
What was your favorite dish that your mother would make?
Chiles rellenos, that was the best. And string beans, tortas de ejote y tortas de papa. Tortas de papa is just mash. It's like potato pancakes, almost like potato pancakes. You mash the potato, put some cheese, rice, and make the pound cake, fry them, and then you can put salsa verde, or you can put adobo, whatever's your favorite sauce that you want to add. And torta de ejote is the same thing. You boil the string beans, drain them as much as you can, and then put cheese in the middle, and then with egg butter, just kind of dip it in it and fry them, and then with green salsa or salsa verde, and it tastes so good.
Do you make these dishes now?
I cannot do the string beans at all, because if you don't strain them well, all the water and the oil will make a big mess in your kitchen. But I do the chiles rellenos, and I do the tortas de papa.
So the stuffed chilies.
And it's just like poblano pepper. You smoke it or toast it, and then take the skin out, and then you open it, put your favorite cheese, and then with the egg batter, you just dip it on it and fry them. And then usually we eat it with tomato sauce and white rice.
How did you end up on a farm? Like you talk about the gray experience of New York City, and did you ever imagine you would be a farmer when you grew up?
No, when I married my husband, we always dream. We always sit down in our apartment. Apartment was 2 bedrooms and a living room, and we used to sit down in there, dream that we want a little house with a small backyard. so we can put a grill and do barbecue, and our kids are playing in the backyard. And then when we decide to move to PA, we have a backyard and we can put our grill, but it was too small and we couldn't grow any plants. So then we decide to buy a bigger house. And in that house, we have 2 acres of land, but 1 acre he used it for his work, and then the other another piece is for the house. And then I have like probably a 1/4 acre for myself. Everything started like a joke because he says, I told him, one day I'm gonna grow everything that we're eating, at least 50% of what we're eating in our plate. I'm gonna grow it. And he laughed about me, and that turns me very upset. And I'm like, I'm gonna show you that I can grow at least half of what we're eating in our plate. I start growing, and we have so much, and we're just giving it away. And one lady came and says, why are you giving your stuff away? Why you don't sell it and at least get money back for your seeds and everything that you need to plant more? And I was like, that's a good idea. So she signed me in a farmer's market, and I bring my stuff. And from now on, I start doing it in my house, taking courses because I didn't know nothing about growing plants. And then I met Owen, and he gave me the contact for the person that they're renting me this farm, and now I'm here for 2 years.
Can we back up to your husband? Can you say a little bit about how you met?
I met my husband when I was 21. He was a taxi driver. His brother was my friend, and I told his brother that he's gonna be my husband, and he's like, no, not my little brother. And then 1 year later, we're married and getting ready to have a baby. And we in New York, I was living with my mom and my dad. And when I met him, we decided to buy because he was already a taxi driver, we decided to buy another taxi so we can have a taxi business. And we have now 2 taxis that we are working on it. But I feel like that was not the life that I want. I want to be in a place that I can go out and sit down outside and listen to the birds and don't worry about the neighbors. And that's what I was pitching, and I told him what I want to do, and he told me that he is the same idea. And because he grew up raising cows and goats and growing corn and jamaica and sesame seeds and peanuts, cacahuates. So he has this idea in him, and I didn't know. And every time he told me stories about how he was growing and how much fun he has, something in me want to do the same thing, and that's why we decided to move here.
How did you know you were going to marry him so soon?
I don't know. I'm the kind of person that if I like something or I want something, I work for it, and I know the universe always give me what I want. So I saw him, and I know that he was gonna be my husband. It's kind of weird, but I did see him and told universe I want him as my husband, and look at me.
Mm-hmm. Love at first sight.
I saw him a few times, but yeah, and it was bad because I have one cousin, and he don't like me to tell this story, but I have one cousin, and I told him, I bet you that he's gonna be my husband in a few months. And she's like, how much you want to bet? And I'm like, a case of beer. And she's like, okay. So he was my bed, and he hates that I told this story, but he was my bed, and I'm still living with my bed.
Well, he's a very wonderful, charming bet. And then we met because you were in one of these courses that you told us about with Grow NYC.
Yes, I took a class beginning farming with Grow YNC from New York. They teach me from financials to growing things, and then at the end of the course, they will take you to different farms and experience the real farm experience. And they take us to your farm to see how save seeds. And that's where I met you, and I fell in love with you.
Love at first sight.
Yeah, so since that, we become friends, and I really love having you as a friend.
I love it too. I'm so grateful. And so, yeah, there's also another bet in there that you had mentioned. I'm realizing you bet about your husband, and you bet about feeding your family half of the plate from your own land. So you're a betting woman.
I'm the kind of person when they tell them, no, you cannot do it. It's like telling me, like, go ahead and do it. I don't like people telling me that I can. Everything that you want in life, you can. So don't let nobody tell you that you can. It's in you. You have the power to do whatever you want.
Amen. And so you came to our seed saving workshop. We became friends. Now we see each other many times a year, your family and mine. And you grow seeds for our seed catalog. And so can you tell us a little bit about what it's been like to save these seeds? How it's felt?
It feels good because you're telling your story, and at the same time you sharing your culture with other communities. So that's the good thing of saving seeds and selling it in your catalog.
Yeah, and I know people have been very grateful to access these varieties, people who are longing for home the way that you have been longing for home. A bigger part of your business is selling to your community. Can you describe that?
Yeah, I have a small community right here where I live, but the community that I have, they're very grateful for the things that we're growing. Especially there's few things that is very difficult to get fresh, and it's the flor de calabaza, the pumpkin flower. And we grow the same pumpkin flower that you grow at home, the big Mexican squash. The flowers are very big and very thick. So when you cut them and make them in your dishes, they don't disappear in your in your pan, because when you use other different kind of squash or pumpkin flowers, they are very thin and they kind of disappear in your dishes. But this kind of pumpkin flower is the same thing that we eat, and people are very happy. This year we grow so many that our community were able to come and grab them, and we sell to a lot of people. And also the little zucchini, they're round. I feel like the flavor doesn't change between zucchinis, but just to have that kind of zucchini that reminds your country, it makes a big difference. So we grow that, and people will come in and pick it up and happy, because you cannot find it in the supermarket.
And how do people learn about you and these like Mexican specialties?
Right now is mouth to mouth, because a lot of the people that follow me on Facebook, they're not from around here. So usually it's like I tell a friend, and that friend tell their friend, and they call me, and that's right now how they're finding me.
What's your Facebook for people that want to follow?
Cruz Family Little Farm. That's Facebook, and that's Instagram, and that's TikTok too.
Does your church community intersect with your farm work at all?
This year, I involved them to come and pick it up. I told myself that I was going to do something like that. So I invite people and told them to bring their basket. And people that they even know that I'm doing this. So they came with their basket, and I told them what they can grab, and they cut their own vegetables, and they were so happy because they can bring home fresh vegetables from our farm. And that was just a small group, probably like 12 people. But I was so proud that I can give our community a little bit of what we're doing this way. And I hope by next year we're able to bring more people, and they can harvest their own stuff and take it home and go happy, no charge.
I know that this year it's gotten more difficult to connect with your community because of the political climate, and I'm wondering if you can share anything about that.
We has to close our snack bar. We have a snack bar in Pottstown. We has to close it because our sales went down, because our community being target, and people doesn't want to go out, doesn't want to get out, doesn't want to spend money. So we were forced to close that place. We were selling Mexican snacks in there, but now we're using that kitchen only to prep, giving value added to our products. Like we make salsas, pico, salsa verde, make different things from our own farm. But yeah, this is a tough time for my community right now.
Yeah, we've been praying for some kind of change to happen so that people feel comfortable leaving their homes and at home in this country. So what we could do maybe is go out and visit some of these important crops and hear more about how you grow them, how you use them, why they're important, so that people can learn about the varieties that you offer in the True Love Seeds catalog, but also to your community here locally.
Sure, let's go. This is our regular papalo that we grow every year with the big leaf. But right now, because it was a little bit of cold this last night, the leaves are a little bit brown. We're expecting any seeds because right now our papalo, it's more tall than me. It's probably like 6 feet. 6 feet, the papalo, and we already cut a lot of it so we can sell, give it to family and eat ourselves. But we have no seeds yet. So, and the way we eat papalo, I like to make picaditas. It's a fresh corn tortilla with salsa on top, cheese, and then we eat it with papalo, or people put it in their sandwiches inside, and they call it semitas.
Semitas. And you tried the papalo at our farm, which we got from someone else, and you approved of it, which was a big deal for me because you're the papalo expert.
Yeah, the papalo was less spicy, more soft, and it's kind of purple too, that one, or is green like this one. It was very good.
And ours is covered in flowers now, so I'm hopeful that we get some seeds, and if we do, of course, we'll give them to you.
Yeah, so the way it's looking, I don't think we're gonna have any papalo seeds this year.
Can you harvest any of this to eat at this point?
Yeah, the tops are still nice and fresh, so you can still eat it. The bottom's already brown and black and has some kind of fungus already because of it's late on the season. And you cannot eat it, but the top is still nice and fresh, so you can eat them.
For people who've never heard of papalo, which is a lot of people in this country, how would you describe the flavor?
I always said the flavor is almost like putting 3 leaves together. Watercress, spinach, and some kind of kale. All together, put it together, and that's how papalo tastes for me.
Wow. Because to me it really tastes like cilantro, but that wasn't one of your leaves.
No, cilantro is completely different. Yeah, so for me, it's some kind of kale, watercress, and spinach.
Okay. Nice. Okay, now, is this your special cilantro here?
Yeah, this is the cilantro macho. This year it didn't grow as bigger. Usually it grows the same size as the Papalo, 6 feet, 5 feet. But this year, because we've been cutting so much for our salsas, it stays very short. But at the beginning of the season, we grow in the other plat, we grow cilantro, and that one grows very big. I have some pictures, and we collect the seeds already for that.
Oh, wonderful. Back to Papalo for one moment. If you were to go home with a bunch of this today, what's your favorite way to eat it?
I will eat it with cecina, salsa, and beans. Cecina, it's a Aztec way of preserve beef. So they make it very thin, and then they put salt and manteca, lard, and they put it in the sun, and they let it turn like dark brown or dark black, the meat, and then fold it, and you can put it in your house and will stay good for at least 2 weeks. And before, they used to let it dry so they don't go bad, but we just let it taste that how you call, like that dryness, and then when you put it in your pan, it tastes delicious.
And how would you prepare the papalo to go in that dish?
You just eat it like that, like spinach. You just grab it, wash it, and you put a bite of beans, and then you put leaves in your mouth, and you chew it all together.
So you just have sprigs of papalo next to your plate. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How did you learn about Aztec food ways?
My mom and my grandma, she told us how to. That's tradition. That's how we learn the different Aztec plates.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where should we go next?
We can go to Cempaxochitl.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our Cempaxochitl, marigold, flor de muerto, and I like to grow it because I like the smell. It reminds me when I was little in Mexico, and my grandma used to make this walkways for our Day of the Dead, and she'll make these crosses with the petals of the flower. And the smell, it's a smell that you can never forget once you smell it. And our house used to smell like that flower all the time.
Did she have the flowers in the house all the time?
I know we used to buy them. Mm-hmm. And I remember we used to buy big bunch, like as big as my arm. And she'll take the petals out like this. And then make a walkway with the petals, and then in the front of the house she'll make a cross, and then she'll put it in the altar too, flowers and petals. So our house smells like Cempaxochitl.
So where was the pathway to and from?
From the entrance of the house. Let's say that we have a gate. From the gate of the main entrance of the house to the door of the house, and that's how the petal goes. And then inside the house, she'll put flowers, and she'll put more petals on top of the altar.
Mm-hmm. And what is the purpose of the petals?
To show your loved ones their way to the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your ancestors would find their way home.
Yes, and then you show them the altar, and in the altar you offer them their favorite food, water, candle, and then once that day finish, next day you take it out and you eat it yourself or you give it away.
So do you remember any of those dishes, like what your ancestors' favorite dishes were that would be on the altar?
My grandma always have pipián. It's a very old-fashioned dish. I don't know if they still make it. It's made with pumpkin seeds. Some people make it with chicken. Some people make it with pork, and then they make tamales de ceniza. It's just plain dough with some salt and lard, and they put it together and you eat it, and other people just put masa inside the dish, so instead of making tamales they just throw the masa on it. But it's very old dish. I never see them in the restaurants, or I only see it with families and friends that they make it.
Do you remember whose favorite dishes these were?
I don't remember. I just remember that my grandma used to put them, and mole is one of the bigger dish that you see it in all the families in Mexico. But I don't know. I don't remember whose dishes were for.
What dishes do you put on your altar now?
Right now, I just put. I put bread. I put. My mom used to smoke, so I put cigarettes on it. I put candles, and I make dulce de calabaza. That was my mom's favorite. It's just pumpkin with sugar and cinnamon. And people make it in the oven. I make it in a pot, and then just let the sugar dissolve and the pumpkin cook. And but I don't really make big dishes for them. I know that it's bad, but I only sugarcoat them.
It still sounds nice, a cigarette and a sweet pumpkin.
And fruit, a lot of fruit. We put, in Mexico, you put sugar cans, orange, mandarins. You put a lot of fruit in the altar, so that's what the same thing we do. We put bananas, orange, whatever fruit it's in season, we put it in there for them.
Okay, and so some of these flowers that are going to bloom in the next few weeks will be made in your house into a path for your ancestors?
If we got lucky and we don't have frost and we're trying to cover them before the frost come, they're going to be able to be in my altar. Last year we have so much beautiful flowers. It was beautiful, and then the frost came, and when I came to pick them up, they were all dead.
So I know you're still trying to figure out the timing for it to work. I know that the frost here is consistently before the Day of the Dead. So how do you think you'll try next year?
I'm trying to see if I can buy a little hoop house and put it in there and put them in pots, so that way we can be able to keep it alive, or just keep it short, trying to trim them and make a little hoop with froze cloth, so that way the frost doesn't kill them. So I'm thinking different ways, but I'm not sure yet.
Where do you get the flowers if you don't grow them yourself for Day of the Dead?
Usually you found them in the Mexican stores. You found them. We have family that comes from New York, so New York you can find anything. So over there you will get little pots of flowers, and then you just take the petals and make the pot for them.
Okay. So some of these Cempaxochitl flowers are past their prime and moving towards seed production. And so can you explain the best way to save seeds from them?
Sure. I like to save seeds when they are completely dry. I don't like them when they're green, because it's difficult to clean them. So when they're completely dry, it's very easy. You just take the top. Let's find one that is very dry right here. This one is very dry, and then you will take the petals like this, fall completely out. And then once you take all the petals, you can open it, and then you have your seeds. And it's completely clean. You don't have to, how you call it when you winnow. You don't have to winnow or do anything. You have your seeds ready. And then if you trying to cut them when they're green, it's a little bit more difficult, because when you're trying to take the petals, sometimes you take seeds with you.
Look, there's a monarch on one of your Cempaxochitl.
Oh yeah, they're pretty. When you open it, you still have some petals. And it's a little bit more difficult to clean.
So you do the cleaning here in the field. Once the petals are black, basically you can easily separate them from the seeds.
Yes, and sometimes if you are lucky enough, you can find one with no petals, and you just can take them out. Let's see if we can find one with no petals, and they're ready to. This one. You see, this one is no petals. It's ready to harvest. And it's already, you just open it and you have your seeds.
Beautiful.
You don't have to do nothing.
Has it been a good seed year for this crop?
Yes. We planted very early. This one we planted in May. And we've been collecting a lot of seeds. The only thing that I did wrong is that I let the weeds take over. So it's kind of hard to harvest seeds in the middle of these weeds. But we have a lot of flowers this year. We have jicama that I'm growing this year thanks to you, because we got seeds last year and you planted in your farm, and we ate fresh jicamas. So I want to mimic this year, planting it in here, but where I planted is a jungle, so I don't know if you want to try.
Yeah, let's go to the jungle. While we're walking, you have a couple other varieties in our catalog, a bean and the epazote, where you did have success one year. So I'm wondering if you could say a little about those two.
Epazote is one of my favorite herbs. We use it for everything. That's like our magic herb. We use it for soups, for chilaquiles. We use it for kids when they're sick from the stomach. We use it for chickens when they have some kind of bug disease in their stomach. Like if you see parasites in your chickens, you give them epazote. If they eat it fresh, you don't have to do nothing. But if they don't like it, you can put it in their water, boil some water and put it in their water, and kills the disease. It's very strong. So this year we didn't have luck on epazote because it was too wet in our lot. But maybe next year we'll bring them back.
Oh, it is a jungle.
I told you the jungle. So this is our jicama. So we have probably like 6 plants in here. I'm not sure when it's ready to harvest them because this is my first year growing them. I know last year you grew them, but I don't know when you took them out.
I took them out right before the frost. So you probably could even wait. I'm guessing you wait a little longer since they're underground. But we just took them when we knew the frost was coming the next day.
And I tried to trellis them, but because so many things that I'm doing, I didn't trellis the right way, so they're all in the floor.
How do you use jicama?
We use jicama fresh. We like it in our salads, or we like it just like that. We peel the jicama, we put some lemon and salt, and eat it as a snack. It's juicy, kind of light sweetness at the end, and it's very crunchy.
And it's right next to the jamaica, which is you use for beverages.
Yeah, our jamaica, I think it's late too. It took a long time to take off. It took off, but we don't have no flowers, so I don't think we're gonna have jamaica flower this year. But thanks to you, we're learning to eat the leaf. So every time we're here, we snack on the leaf. They taste like sour, and they have a good taste, so we just snacking on the leaf. And even my kids make videos of it because they never try it, and every time they come and visit me, they just snack on the leaf in there.
So delicious. And then right behind us is this beautiful green tomatillo.
Our tomatillo, we grow them everywhere. We have them in different plats because we use tomatillo for everything too, and it's number one. So at the farmers market, and we make salsas with it, and we can the salsas, and we make salsas fresh, so we can sell it different ways. The canned salsa, it lasts a whole year in your pantry, and the fresh salsa, it only lasts 1 week, but it's number one sell in our farm.
The best seller?
No, our best seller.
For someone who's never used tomatillos fresh, how would you describe the easy way to start?
The only way I know how to use it is making salsa, and our salsa, it goes in everything that we eat. So it's just the tomatillo has like a little husk, and then you take that husk away, and then you wash it. And I don't roast it because it's more water, so when you roast it, it disappears in your pan. So what I do is I kind of put it on hot water, and as soon as the water it's boiled, I turn it off and take them out, and then roast the jalapenos and put some garlic in the blender, and then blend it, and then you have nice green salsa, and then you can use it in your soups, you can use it in your dishes. So this is the basic start for a lot of dishes.
Thank you. And actually back to the Jamaica, which we call Roselle, if you had the red fruits, what would you do with them?
If I have the red fruit, I will dry them, and then every time we want something refreshing, I will boil some water, put them in there, let the water rest, drain the flowers out, and put some sugar and ice on the water that left from the flowers, and you have agua de Jamaica.
And so do you put the whole fruit in there, or you peel the outer part of the flowers off and put that in?
Just the petals.
Okay, so not the petals of the flower, but the petals of the fruit? Because it's the red fruit-like thing, right, that you harvest?
Yes, but I don't know if they have some kind of green thing or it's just the flower.
Yeah, there's a green fruit inside. It's really the calyx that's red. It's called a calyx.
Yeah, that's what we use, just that, and then boil it with a little bit of sugar.
Okay. I know some people, like in the Caribbean, they put in like ginger and what else? Different spices and stuff. Do you ever do that kind of thing, or just sugar?
Just sugar. Just sugar. The way it tastes, you don't need add nothing else. And you can use it for your ponche too.
Nice. Is there anything else that you want to share, or how would you like to end the episode?
The only thing I want to share is that feel proud of who you are, and always put attention to your elders, because when they're not there, you're going to miss what they're teaching you, and they're not there to ask them to repeat that. So whatever the oldest person in your family is the one that carried all that tradition.
If your grandmother was here today, what would you say to her?
Thank you, and I want to learn more, because I didn't have that time to learn everything that she knows. And my grandma was a person that it was white with hazelnut eyes, and her grandma was white with green eyes. So I don't know where they came from. I never have the question to ask her what descent they came, that why are they a different color than us.
Oh, I hope someday you can figure it out. But thank you so much for taking this time and for sharing with the younger generations, with everybody, about what's important to you, where you come from, and how to use these delicious foods from Mexico.
Thank you for coming here, and it's a beautiful day, and thank you for being present in our farm.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you so much to Maria Hernandez and the Hernandez Cruz family. And thank you for listening and sharing this episode of Seeds and Their People with your loved ones. Please share this episode with someone you know and love, and subscribe to our show in your favorite podcast app. Thank you also for helping our seed keeping and storytelling work by leaving us a review, and also ordering seeds, t-shirt, and more from our website,
trueloveseeds.com. And again, if you'd like to support our podcast for $1 or more monthly, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/trueloveseeds. And again, like Chris said, if you like our episode or if you don't, we'd love to hear from you. We put a lot of time into these, and they kind of go out into the ether, and I know that people are listening, and we'd just love to hear about it. Send us a note.
And remember, keeping seeds is an act of true love for our ancestors and our collective future.
God bless.
God bless.